Philly DA Larry Krasner was on a panel discussion with Bernie Sanders where they talked about mass incarceration and the steps needed to address that. Now, while the conversation was surrounded around criminal justice reform, there is a moment from this discussion where Krasner discusses what the Democrats have done wrong that has led them to this point. So I want to highlight that and then discuss it a little bit. So here is Krasner talking about how the Democratic Party has essentially suppressed the vote of many Democratic supporters.
Say this, I think what we saw in Philly was what I guess we should have known, which is that the Democratic Party in particular has suppressed the vote. They may not have thought they were doing it, although some of them surely did, depending on where you were.
Yes, they did.
But I think what happened with Bernie, and I think to some small extent what happened here with this campaign, is a whole lot of people who were never going to vote because they were so tired of the candidates running, decided that this was the time when maybe they would go register to vote. You know, voting is habitual. If you run candidates who excite a group of people who feel alienated and they come out and vote the first time, they may just get amped up enough to do it again, especially if you can get more candidates who are in that category. And it makes all the difference. There used to be a much higher rate of voters turning out 30 years ago than there are now. You know, if progressives can do that, if they can stop playing the middle, if Democrats can stop trying to act Republican light, which is what they have done for decades unsuccessfully. I'm glad you're smiling at me. If they,
absolutely right.
If they can start doing that, and we can just excite the people who want to participate but have no faith in those candidates, then there is nothing the conservatives are going to be able to do.
All right, so what Larry Krasner said here is everything I've been saying on my channel since I started shooting videos. And that's, you have to actually get people, excite people to get out and vote for you. So, look, I don't know why this is so hard for some people to understand. You can't shame people into voting for your party of choice. You can't shame people into saying, well, you have to vote Democrat because the Republicans are much worse. Even if you think that the Democratic Party is the lesser of two evils, they're still the lesser of two evils. So you have to vote for them. If you don't, you're stupid. Or if you vote for third party, you're a spoiler. That doesn't work. Shaming people into voting for your party does not work. You have to offer something. And it makes much more sense to try and pressure the people in power, the small amount of people in power in the Democratic Party, to change their ways or completely vote them out than it is to change an entire population of 300 million people into how they vote or don't vote. So, like, I'm so bothered when I see people online try and shame voters who they think voted the wrong way. How often has shame worked? Has shame ever worked on you? If you're one of those people that shame other people, has anyone shamed you into doing something? It rarely, if ever, works. You have to actually offer a platform, a plan, something aspirational to look forward to, like Medicare for all or tuition-free college, these big ideas where people can vote for you and then keep coming back to vote for you because they expect you to deliver. So the other part of this I want to address is Larry Krasner mentioned how the Democratic Party is suppressing the vote. Now, that will trigger some people. Some people will say, what? The Democratic Party is suppressing the vote? No, the Republican Party is gerrymandering. They're suppressing the vote. Both are true. So yes, the Republican Party has suppressed the vote through gerrymandering. That is an issue that has definitely led to Democrats losing certain races. Absolutely. At the same time, the Democratic Party has also suppressed the vote by not offering an aspirational message that gets people out, that gets non-voters out to vote for them. That is the issue. So there's suppression going around. Everyone's suppressing votes. Now, to just back up some claims that Larry Krasner made here, that a progressive message would get people out to vote for you, he mentioned how it worked for him, and it did. And since he came in, Sean King writes, the Philly DA promised a criminal justice revolution. He's exceeding expectations. Then there's Lee Carter, who won a Virginia House seat by being an avowed socialist. Then there's Randall Woodfin, who is now the mayor of Birmingham, Alabama, and won by being a Bernie Sanders-backed progressive. And now there's Cynthia Nixon in New York, who's running in a primary against Governor Cuomo and is gaining mountains of support by being a strong progressive who's running on an aspirational platform. And you also can't ignore the effects that this has had on legislation. So Bernie Sanders has a Medicare for All bill that he's now able to get a ton of Democrats on because they all know where the wind is blowing. They know that progressives are slowly taking over the Democratic Party and that they have to get on board now, otherwise it'll be too late for them in the future. So there's the Medicare for All bill that has Warren, Gillibrand, Booker, and a bunch of other co-sponsors. There's Bernie's job guarantee that has Gillibrand and Booker on. And then there's Cory Booker's marijuana legalization bill that has Bernie, Gillibrand, and Harris on. So we are now seeing the turn towards these big ideas. Medicare for all, a guaranteed jobs plan, legalizing marijuana. These issues are not just now being taken on by Bernie, but also taken on by candidates or Democrats that we otherwise would have thought wouldn't have taken on these sorts of issues. But they want to be reelected. They want to stay in power. So for them to do that, they know that they need to get on board with some of this progressive legislation. So, look, the proof is here. So while it's disappointing that, Paula Jean Swearengin didn't win in her primary against Joe Manchin in West Virginia, or that Kucinich lost in Ohio, there's going to be bumps. There's going to be bumps in the road. And this isn't all going to happen overnight. It takes time to build a movement, but it's happening. And the more we have candidates like this out there and legislation, progressive legislation being pushed by the Democratic Party, the more they will gain support and be able to destroy in the midterms and hopefully in 2020 elect a real progressive. Hey, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button below and consider throwing me a few bucks on Patreon at patreon.com/therationalnational or therationalnational.com/join.